So today I am excited to share a DIY with you guys that I've been wanting to do now for years. So as you all know, I've been living in this apartment now for about 5 years, and I recently shared my entire living room tour with you guys just last week. And in that, I shared the highs, the lows, a lot of the lows of living in a modern building. Now, historically, my husband and I, we've always lived in older buildings, much more formal layouts, and we moved here to Chicagoland. We moved into a brand new building, fabulous corner unit, lots of natural light, and I thought to myself, you know what, Caleb, let's shake things up a little bit, go a little bit more modern. I hate it. Quite frankly, I hate it. So I'm trying to rework things in our living room, and we're gonna be slowly going throughout the rest of the home. We're gonna tackle the kitchen, my bathrooms, the den, the library space, the primary bedroom. It all needs a little bit of an overhaul. So my very first project that I wanted to kick off with was my Plaster Intaglio DIY. Now with this project, you guys, I'm gonna walk you through start to finish. There were a lot of design questions, a lot of wins, a lot of things learned. At the end of the day, I had to learn to trust the process. And guys, the way these turned out, I could not be happier. So I know you're gonna love these two in your own home. Now, the very first problem area in this apartment that I'm tackling is the one right behind me here, the living room TV wall. Now this wall, sadly enough, it's the one that we stare at the most, obviously, when we're watching our shows. Loving season 5 of Hacks right now. When I'm playing Call of Duty, I am always looking at that wall. And of the apartment, unfortunately, it's an open floor plan, so there's not a lot of wall space, but it is hands down the worst one in the entire home. So with this, I was assessing the wall. I'm like, what isn't working here? And the thing is, we went to a larger TV recently. The artwork above it that used to hang in our old home, it didn't fill up the real estate that it used to. This is Peter Paul Rubens' The Hunt. Yes, it's an original. No, I'm just kidding. It's obviously not. But I go into detail in my living room home tour about where I source all of my artwork. And of course, everything I'm talking about today will be linked down below for you in the description and over on my website, curatedbycaleb.com. Where does every good DIY project start? If you guessed the Goodwill, you're absolutely correct. So the frames that I purchased for this DIY were from the Goodwill, and it actually started out with the two on top, the more ornate ones. Now, if you're looking to source these yourself, like if you absolutely love the frames, I'm sorry, these are like from the late 80s. They're filled with these lovely Laura Ashley style flower girls on the interior, so I don't think you can pop into any Home Goods and find these, but these were made by the company Thetco. I'll try and find some for you down in the description, but you're gonna be jealous because I only paid $1.99 a frame for these. And I bought these late last year, early last year actually. I've been sitting on these for about a year now. And I'm like, what do I do with these? They're stunning, they're gorgeous. And then the inspiration hit. But I'm like, okay, but these frames are too small for the space. I'm gonna be right back where I was with teeny tiny little artwork. So I'm just gonna have to do the salon gallery wall style thing and add more frames. So the additional frames that I found underneath were actually a happy accident at another really good Goodwill. These are actually antique plate frames. And these, sadly enough, were dead stock, brand new in box for only 99 cents. These were from 1975. Believe it or not, they have been literally waiting 51 years to adorn the very sad space in my sad modern apartment. So thank you to whoever bought them originally and kept them in perfect shape. I appreciate it, but I still had to paint them. And the plaster intaglio has always caught my interest. I actually collect plaster intaglios, Venetian glass intaglios, and I'm like, you know what? We've got something we can work with here, right? I have my supplies ready to go. I'm like, I need more plaster intaglios because I have a collection, but some of them I didn't necessarily want to glue to my walls, so I'm like, let's order another set. So first and foremost, I found my plaster intaglios on Etsy. Now, I know that's not very European and Grand Tour of me, but listen, I'm a modern American in the Midwest. I gotta make do. I wasn't exactly traveling to Italy in the 18th and 19th century like the noble people of Europe. I couldn't just pick up some plaster intaglios at the local market in Florence. So I did the next best thing. I found a creator on Etsy and I got a set of like 20 for about $79. So we're already coming in under budget. We've spent, don't ask me to do math. We've got $4 in the top frames, another $2 in the bottom frame. So we're at about $6, right? $70 in intaglios. Rather than go to like Anthropologie and pay $90 for what they're selling, or hundreds, even thousands for antique versions or like Restoration Hardware, Sotheby's, Cherish. Like, you know what, Caleb Snell? You're very capable. You have amazing taste. I know, thank you. Why not just do it yourself? So here we are. We've got our plaster intaglios. We have our frames. Now we need to paint them. So with the paint color, I wanted something that would work both with my non-committal pink walls. Thank you, Benjamin Moore. I needed something that looked vaguely European. Is it French? Is it Swedish? We don't know. It's just a lovely shade of light blue chalk paint. Now this is Louis Blue from Annie Sloan. The application process of this paint could not be simpler. Annie has thought of everything, and it is a foolproof process every single time. Now, if you remember on my spring home video where we learned how to make molded cookies with our vintage paper bag ceramic cookie molds, we also painted antique wooden perns to look like carrots. I used Annie Sloan paint for that as well in Barcelona Orange. And I am super excited. A lot of you asked. These are now available over at curatedbycaleb.com. You can buy them in groupings of 3 or 5. Give me about a week or 2 to ship them out to you because I have to buy the perns, paint the perns, let the perns cure. It's a whole process. And I'm so excited to be able to offer the carrots over at my website. We're going to be adding more home goods as well. So keep an eye on the site. It's going to constantly change and evolve as we're going through this new journey. Where do we start? Do you have to prime? Do you have to sand? Literally none of the above. It could not be easier, you guys. So with the Annie Sloan, you just put a little bit on your brush and work your brush in all directions. We're really looking for a rustic finish here because the more rustic that we paint this, the more that dried paint is going to look aged. Is this a Swedish antique? Is it a French antique? No, Caleb Snell did it in 2026. Now make sure that you let it get touch dry, which takes about 1 to 3 hours, quite honestly, depending on your climate and time of year that you're painting, right? Then after, you let it dry a little bit, go back in and paint again. Now the Annie Sloan website recommends 2 coats. Caleb Snell recommends 3 coats. I like my paint thick. Now, after I let it dry, I let it sit for a few days. Now we're letting the paint dry, we're letting it cure a little bit, but this is when we get to have a little fun with the wax process. When it comes to Annie Sloan waxes, you always want to start with the clear wax, right? This is what's going to really meld the paint to your project, to your finish, if you will, and it's going to make it impenetrable. Now, if you're doing this on your kitchen cabinets, obviously a lot of coats are going to be required, but for little projects like this, pieces of furniture that don't see a lot of use and wear, 1 coat is going to do you just fine. Now with the wax, load up your brush, and again, just like we painted, we are going in all the directions, honey. We're working left, we're working right, we're going up, we're going down, we're going in all of the directions. Now with this project, especially with my more ornate frames, the ones that are sitting on top, I had to be very careful because it has kind of an egg and dart molding around the interior, and then of course the bow. So I had to really work the paint into all of those areas, and I especially had to work the wax into those areas, but I had to be sure that there weren't extra large chunks of wax residue just sitting on the project. Those are gonna smear, they're gonna be gross, not the vibe. So I wiped them off and I kind of rubbed it back into the project, if you will. I had to leave my glass in. First of all, it was glued in. It was a weird size behind the oval opening. So I was like, you know what, Caleb? We're just going to attach our plaster intaglios directly to the wax. But this kind of made painting and waxing very difficult. So to help kind of combat, especially the paint issue once I let it dry, I took my old BMW Master World card and I just scraped it off. It was so easy. It just came off. Now I've got some wax on my glass as well. So before that dried, I made the mistake. I did this 2 ways. On the first one, I let the wax dry a little bit and then I went in to clean it off. It kind of made it like a milky film on the glass, if you will. But the second time I did it, I went in right away. It wiped up so easily. So if you're doing this yourself and you're doing it with glass, again, BMW World card, scrape off the extra paint, wax, clean it off immediately. Guys, it's gonna make cleanup so much easier. I had to go in with my Magic Spray glass cleaner and really rub at the first one, which I was worried I was gonna mess up the paint and the wax, but it didn't. Again, tend to your mistakes earlier. It's gonna make cleanup that much easier in the long run. Now, when it comes to waxing, I was asking myself, I'm like, Caleb Snell, we have the Annie Sloan antique wax, which kind of gives it like a nice burnished, used feeling, right? Like worn, it's seen the test of time. Do I want to lean into that, or do I want to keep this more simple, more elegant and refined? I told myself, if I'm gonna do the antique wax on the paint, why would my plaster intaglios be perfectly brilliant white still? Something to think about, something to consider in your own design aesthetic. So I told myself, you know what? In this instance, we're gonna skip the antique wax. We're gonna save it for an upcoming project, which I'm gonna tease you here in a minute. We're just gonna keep it clean, very fresh, but it still has that old world charm. Again, we went in, we've got our thick chalky paint on there. It looks worn, it looks used, it looks like it's been painted a few times over the last 100 years, and that is exactly what we wanted for this project. Now that brings me to my paper selection. Obviously with intaglios, oh, I should probably say, you know, take a shot every time I say intaglio, but you're probably wondering, Caleb Snell, what is an intaglio? I myself am modern, I'm in the Midwest. What is an intaglio? Explain. These were popularized during the 18th and 19th century Grand Tours. If you watch Downton Abbey, they kind of touch on Grand Tours a little bit. And I've always been in love with the Grand Tour aesthetic. I try and work that in with our artwork, my bronzes from Maitland Smith, my obsession with neoclassical Wedgwood jasperware. These were just little pieces that the travelers back then could then take home and have little relics of Italy. They would often bring those home, large busts, large marble fragments called pietra dura, which we're going to touch on here in a little bit. These were just a huge part of the aesthetic of the traditional Grand Tour home. They're going to be very architectural, very interesting, right? They've got a lot of visual value to them that we're going to be adding to this project, but I wanted the paper that they're sitting on to be strong as well. Now, in my mind, I would have preferred to order from Il Papiro. It's this gorgeous Florentine store in Italy. We were there several years ago and I picked up a lot of stuff. I got some bookends, I have menus and place cards for the dining table. I also have some picture frames. We also got souvenirs for our loved ones when we were there as well. So I'm very familiar with the Il Papiro brand. I also follow them on Instagram, humble brag. I really wanted to order from them, but for some reason their marbled papers weren't available anymore. So I ended up at the Paper Source. Now, something I appreciate about the Paper Source, they have a lot of good craft paper available at decent prices. And the nice thing about the Paper Source, they're in about every major city has one or two in different malls. I know back home I'd have to go down to Indianapolis for it. Here, I have one like 5 minutes away, and when I'm done there, I can pop into the Williams-Sonoma. It's quite a trip for me. I really enjoy it. And there's a Vera Bradley there too as well. Anyway, so we're at the Paper Source, and I'm like, Caleb Snell, do I go with like regular marbled papers, which weren't really the vibe, and it felt a little expected, right? So I opted for this beautifully patterned marble paper. And what really struck me with this one is it reminded me of Pietra Dura. And I learned that through Alexa Hampton, huge fan of Alexa Hampton and her father, Mark. I have his books as well. And just an amazing style. I can't tell you how many times I've watched her home tour on Quintessence from like 9 years ago. You've got the Roosevelt Island trolley going by and it's such a vibe. That home is gorgeous from top to bottom. Anyway, ever since she was a little girl, she's always been fascinated with the marble specimens that her parents collected. And Pietra Dura, it's basically different marbles and stones that are either put together as like an obelisk, maybe it's an orb, maybe it's a tabletop. And typically these were found during the Grand Tour era with vellum-bound books, which were numbered and would explain the different specimens of marble within that small collection piece, right? So I thought to myself, we're doing a whole Grand Tour aesthetic, old world charm. What better paper backing, other than maybe like a classic grass cloth, but we're looking for color and punch here, right? So I'm like, what better paper to go with than this marbled specimen paper? Now, it's from a company based in the UK, and just one sheet of this paper cost about $6.59. So we're about like maybe paint included $150 into this, right? Just a lot less than just one plaster intaglio from Restoration Hardware. This paper could not have been more perfect for this project. At first I was asking myself, I'm like, oh God, Caleb, what have you done? Like this paper, it's so bold. Where is the orange coming from? Where are these colors coming from? And then I remembered I was inspired by the painting by Peter Paul Rubens, The Hunt. We have orange, we have green, we have smoky blues. We have colors of ochre and dark navy and black. The intaglios with the crisp white plaster just pop against this Pietra Dura inspired paper with the beautiful Louis blue. Is it Swedish? Is it French? Is it antique? We don't know. All of these pieces melded together perfectly. Now you're asking yourself, Caleb, that round frame was originally for a plate. How did you put a backing in? Well, I popped over to Amazon.com and I purchased these wooden rounds and they were the perfect size. I think I did 8 inches. I used a 3M spray for the glue to hold the paper down because I was worried that a traditional glue would bubble. We've all been through elementary school where we're doing paper crafts and the paper bubbles, the Elmer's glues, they dry weird, rubber cement's messy, hot glue gun would have been way too much. This spray adhesive, guys, I'm going to use this on every single project going forward where I'm dealing with papers, things of that nature, because it's sprayed on, immediately it's tacky, drop the paper down, and guys, it dried perfectly. I know I keep saying perfect, but I mean, we're doing a DIY. We're striving for perfection here. Are we going to hit it every time? No, but that's part of trusting the process. And I let this adhesive dry for 24 hours because listen, we're not trying to rush. I don't really have a set deadline. we're taking our time, we're letting things come together organically, and we're enjoying the process, right? Like every evening I would set aside a little time to paint. Maybe I'm gluing down paper, maybe I'm cutting paper, maybe I'm laying out my intaglios, getting them ready to be glued down. It was just relaxing. It was a cathartic process, and it kind of helped me really get back in touch with our home and how I'm trying to redesign it and make it feel more of a space I can be proud of. As it sits now, I'm proud of it. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's stunning. Is it magazine ready? Probably, but is it a space I really want to spend a lot of time in? Honestly, no. So that's what we're about. We're about getting back to home, getting back and appreciating what we have, and taking these areas of aggravation and tweaking them and making them kind of fit our aesthetic and make them look a little bit better. And this kind of helped me get back in touch with that. So now we have our papers are dried, they're ready to go. How do we mount the plaster intaglio? Okay, that rhymed. It wasn't intentional, but it did. So with that, I used E6000 glue. Now this is a super industrial adhesive. I didn't do this with gloves. How I didn't get any on my fingers absolutely blows my mind. Well, it's a little bit thicker than super glue, so that is definitely helpful. It's more of like a thick adhesive gel, if you will. So once you puncture the top of the tube, you push a little bit out onto the back. I would use the end of the tube itself to kind of smear around the glue on the back of the intaglio, give it a little blow, set it down where I wanted it to go. What I liked about this is it doesn't dry too quickly, and if you don't get the glue to the very edge of the back of the intaglio, that's gonna give you a little bit of room to kind of wiggle it around and play with it and get it into the perfect position, because listen, once the E6000 glue dries, it is not going anywhere. It is stuck for life. Again, with this process, I let it dry for another 24 or 48 hours, and then I hung them up on my walls. Quite honestly, after seeing them up on the wall, I couldn't have been more pleased with the outcome. We've got a Grand Tour aesthetic. We've introduced more color. We've added something that isn't just necessarily another original piece of art or a canvas to the wall. It's something more interesting. With pieces like this, yes, they have big visual impact, lots of value on the wall, but they also invite your guests to walk a little bit closer and maybe kind of look at them. Is this Caesar? Is this Athena? What is this depicting? Who are these people? And it's kind of fun. Some of them, the intaglios have names underneath them, so you can kind of Google who the emperor was or the noble person, learn more about their heinous history. At the end of the day, it adds something extra to our apartment. It fills up that space, and it's feeling a lot more like home, which is the goal of this whole project, this whole endeavor, right? So let me know in the comments, is this something you're going to attempt for your own home? And take it one step further. Once you're done, email me some pictures. Again, my email is down below. Maybe we'll pull it up in a live or a future video where we're looking at each other's DIY projects. I think that'd be so fun to see how you take what I've shown you and reinterpret it to fit your own taste, aesthetic, and design. That would be so cool to see. Now, moving forward, what else are we going to be tackling in this home? Because guys, trust me, take a look around. There's a lot of projects that are going to be at play here. Coming up soon, we're going to be gold leafing a lamp. I'm going to show you start to finish. How do we do the red underlayer? How do we attach the gold leaf? What are we doing with the lampshade? We can't just buy a random lampshade and throw it on a lamp. Like, please be so serious. We're also going to be reupholstering a new chair for that horrible corner behind me. We're going to be making different ottoman slipcovers and slipcovers for chairs. Maybe I'm going to switch out all the lighting in this apartment, all the wall-mounted lighting. Maybe these sconces are going to be going away. Who knows? Stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of fun and exciting things coming, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. So until then, take care, stay safe, have fun. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye-bye. And if this DIY project inspired you today, make sure to check out my springtime DIY where we paint beautiful antique ferns into carrots, and we're gonna make some delicious cookies. Trust me, you won't want to miss it.